Good morning, American history. You're looking live at the mall in Washington, D.C., where a huge crowd is gathering to watch Barack Obama become the 44th President of the United States. Today, Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2009.
From NBC News, this is a special edition of Today. The inauguration of Barack Obama with Matt Lauer and Meredith Vieira, live in Washington, D.C.
And welcome to this very special edition of Today from Capitol Hill. I'm Meredith Vieira.
And I'm Matt Lauer. And hope, pride, change, a fresh start. Some of the words people are using to describe the historic events that will unfold, Meredith, here in the nation's capital behind us today. It's expected to be the biggest crowd ever for an inauguration. Security, as you might expect, incredibly tight. More than 18,000 police and National Guard are here to make sure that things go as smoothly as possible. And you know what? It's also cold outside. Right now, the temperature's around 19 degrees, wind chill of about 8, and I can vouch for that myself. Let's be honest with people. I wasn't supposed to be sitting next to you this morning. I was going to open up right there from the west front of the Capitol, from the balustrade area. We tried to walk there this morning. Security is so tight, they've changed the configuration. The old expression, you can't get there from here, you can't get there from here. And we saw crowds gathering, lines forming, people standing out hours ahead of this event in the cold weather.
You know, when I left for the studio this morning at 4:30, already so many roads were closed off and people were walking, but we had a lot of trouble getting in. But it's all for a good thing.
Yeah, well,
very exciting day.
An historic day, no question about it.
Here's a quick look at the schedule of events for this morning at 8:45 Eastern Time. President-elect Obama and his family will attend a private prayer service at St. John's Church on Lafayette Square, right across from the White House. Then an hour and a half later, the Bushes host a coffee at the White House for the Obamas, Vice President-elect Joe Biden and his wife Jill, Vice President Cheney and his wife Lynn, and the leaders of the Joint Congressional Committee. Then at noon Eastern, the big moment, Barack Obama takes the oath of office and delivers his inaugural address. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts will perform the swearing in, the first of what could be many inaugurations for the 53-year-old. And ironically, Barack Obama was one of 22 Democratic senators who voted against Roberts' confirmation back in 2005. I don't think that's coming up today.
Awkward. Yeah, a little awkward.
Hello.
Well, along with millions of average citizens, a who's who of Washington will also be in attendance. You mentioned Vice President Dick Cheney. We want to point something out to you. You're going to be seeing him during the ceremony, but he'll be in a wheelchair. Apparently, he pulled a muscle in his back while he was packing up boxes. This is a true story. For his move to Virginia, he's under doctor's orders to keep off his feet for a few days, so you'll see the Vice President or the outgoing Vice President in that wheelchair. And of course, it's not only big news here in Washington. The entire world is closely watching this inauguration. Take a look at New York, Rockefeller Plaza, all decked out in red, white, and blue. Got some large TV monitors there. They've been brought in so that people in New York can just gather to watch the pageantry unfold. There are even celebrations taking place across the Atlantic. How about Kenya, the birthplace of Barack Obama's father? But the main story is unfolding right here in Washington. Ann Curry's down on the National Mall, where millions have been gathering since early this morning. Ann, good morning to you.
Hey, Meredith and Matt, here we are with a large and very happy crowd outside here. I don't know if you can see, but just beyond here, let me ask people to part a little bit. There's a Capitol. If you can see beyond all these people here, they've been out here all night. Some of them have been here pulling all-nighters to get here, and they're very excited. And in fact, there's a great story. The Washington Monument is over there. We've got the parade's going to be coming along the side here, and all these people have been out there from all over the country. Where are you guys from? As you can see, they're from all over the country, from California, from Miami, from Tennessee, from Kentucky. They're all very excited. There's a story one of our producers here on the scene, Tammy Coverman, told about access that was opened all of a sudden, and hundreds of people running down the street, so excited about being here. There's a real palpable mood here. People are feeling a great deal of hope. Would you say that's really true?
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, so people are gearing up, Meredith and Matt. It couldn't be colder. Maybe it could be colder, but it could be also warmer. With all the happiness here, out here this morning. Now back to you.
All right, Ann, thank you very much. We'll check in with you in a couple of minutes.
That woman who just yelled out, "I don't feel the cold," better bundle up because it is going to be cold today. Wise to bundle up today. Al Roker's at the Pentagon parking lot, the staging area for today's inaugural parade. With more on the weather, Al, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. We've got clearing skies. It's beautiful, crystal clear. We are looking at temperatures right now, about 20 degrees, wind chill of about 5 to 9 degrees. We're in the Pentagon North parking lot. This is the staging for all the organizations that are going to be taking part. 10,000 participants in the inaugural day parade, 40 bands, including the band from Barack Obama's high school in Hawaii, Michelle Obama's high school in Chicago, 5 floats, the home state and the USA, 103 groups taking part. They had 1,387 applicants, so real whittling down. One of the earliest groups here, West Point Cadets. Yeah! All right, so this is going to be one of those places. It's just going to get crazier and crazier as the morning goes on. Guys, Matt?
All right, Al, thank you very much. Just 5 years ago, Barack Obama was an Illinois state senator, and today, after, I guess, what some people would call a meteoric rise, he becomes president of the United States. Chuck Todd is NBC's chief White House correspondent and political director. Chuck, quite a morning.
It sure is, Matt. Literally, we know the boxes are already packed, and right now there actually are painting offices as we speak right there, as we're just hours away from the inauguration of the 44th president of the United States. The president-elect spent part of his final night before taking the oath saluting his one-time foe, Arizona Senator John McCain. McCain has been somewhat of a secret advisor to Obama on foreign policy issues.
John is not known to bite his tongue, and if I'm screwing up, he's going to let me know.
One person who didn't bite her tongue Monday was Jill Biden, the vice president-elect's wife. On the Oprah show, Mrs. Biden may have let a secret slip out.
Joe had the choice to be Secretary of State or Vice President. And I said, Joe, no. Well, okay, he did. So,
You said Joe?
go.
Afterwards, the Obama folks put out a statement trying to make it clear that Biden was only offered one job, the vice presidency. Biden will take that oath of office at 11:30 Eastern, just before Obama is sworn in at noon. And then the big speech. But Obama wasn't providing many clues Monday.
I am not going to make a long speech. I've got to save all my best lines for tomorrow.
Aides say today's address will have a familiar ring to it. The rhetoric may be new, but the message will be the same, with Obama hoping to usher in a, quote, new era of responsibility. Expectations are high. Big speeches have been the hallmark of Obama's career. From his national debut at the 2004 Democratic Convention,
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
to announcing his candidacy in 2007,
The genius of our founders is that they designed a system of government that can be changed.
to claiming victory in November.
If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible,
If Obama can somehow make people feel we've got crises, but we're going to be okay because there's a leader there that we trust and whose voice we can hear, then I think it will have accomplished a great deal.
Of course, his words are destined for history, simply because of who he is and what Obama represents for so many Americans. Congressman John Lewis, who marched with Martin Luther King Jr. in the 1960s, became very emotional in an interview with NBC's Brian Williams.
It is going to be very hard because I'm going to be sitting there, and no doubt I will be able to look down toward the Lincoln Memorial and see where we stood 45 years ago. And I'm going to hear the words of Dr. King ring in my ears when he said, I have a dream today, a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
Now, as we noted, the transition is taking place right now. Actual painters are in their painting offices. There are starter kits for all of the incoming Obama staff so they can get in, start figuring out how to use the phones, figuring out how to log into the internet, which of course has also been a problem. They don't have their own email addresses, and like many folks that changed jobs, they had to use Gmail, Meredith.
Todd, thank you. Robert Gibbs was Barack Obama's spokesman during the campaign, and today he becomes White House Press Secretary. Mr. Gibbs, good morning to you and congratulations.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you?
I am great, thank you. Such a big day. I was talking to a lot of folks yesterday. Expectations running very high. When was the last time that you spoke with the president-elect, and how is he feeling about this historic day?
You know, I spoke with him last night. You know, he's very calm. I think he understands the moment that he's in and the moment that the country's in, and he's very anxious and excited to get started working on getting this economy moving again.
You're not just press secretary, you're also his confidant. Did you give him any words of advice?
No, you know, he doesn't need much advice from me on a day like today. I think he understands, as I said, the moment in front of the country, the moment that he steps into. You know, I think he's very excited about his speech. He feels good about it. He's got it in the books and it's ready to go. So I think he's just anxious to get started.
Yeah, he was still working on it last weekend, but you said about that speech he is going to talk about responsibility and accountability. But given the difficult times that we are in, will he also address rebuilding confidence in the American public?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, Meredith. I think he's going to outline and address the challenges and the tough times that we face. But as Americans, we always rise to those challenges, both as a country and as a people, not as different political parties, but as one American people. He'll lay that out today and give people some hope and optimism that there will again be brighter days here in America.
Speaking about coming together, last night he attended a bipartisan dinner for his rival in the campaign, Republican Senator John McCain. We now know that McCain has been helpful with Obama in terms of discussing foreign policy and even cabinet picks. Right. How would you describe the current relationship between these two men?
Well, you know, Meredith, they got together right after the election. It was one of the quickest meetings between two opponents that we'd ever seen in history. I think they have a good working relationship. They talk well with each other. And I think Barack, I know, is very excited to have his counsel and hear his advice on issues ranging from spending and pork all the way to foreign policy. He values his advice and his counsel.
In the interest of transparency, Robert, which is a word that your campaign used frequently, I was watching Oprah yesterday, and when Jill Biden talked about her husband being offered either the Secretary of State or the Vice President, she was not ambiguous at all. In fact, she reiterated it, although the campaign now says that he was only offered one job. So I have to ask you, was Hillary Clinton second choice when it came to Secretary of State?
No, we've put together a great foreign policy team. We've put together a great economic team. I think Mrs. Biden was talking about the fact that Barack and Joe had sat down and talked about a number of ways that he could be helpful to this ticket. The way that we thought he could be most helpful was as vice president. That was the one job that President Obama offered him, and that's the job he accepted, and we're excited that he's part of this today.
Well, now Senator Cornyn of Texas has said that he may try to block the confirmation of Hillary Clinton for Secretary of State because of questions he has about foreign donations to her husband's foundation. Are you at all concerned about her not being confirmed?
No, we're not. And I think if people are really concerned about making sure that the country is kept safe and that we begin to engage quickly in the diplomacy that's needed to bring peace to the Middle East, that Democrats and Republicans, common sense Republicans and common sense Democrats can come together and understand that she's the best pick for the job. And we certainly hope that that's true for all senators.
Do you assume that this confirmation will come through by the end of the week?
We're very hopeful that we'll have a great bulk of our cabinet sworn in very, very quickly.
And finally, we are hearing that former Senator George Mitchell will be named as Barack Obama's Mideast envoy. Can you confirm that for us?
You know, Meredith, I don't want to get ahead of where the president is on making some of these announcements, but I know he is anxious. He's talked about this throughout the campaign and the transition, and really hitting the ground running and getting involved in and engaged in the diplomacy necessary to bring about the peace that we all so desperately seek in the Middle East and throughout the world. So he's anxious to get started, and we'll have some announcements about that later in the week.
And finally, the most pressing question, is he keeping the BlackBerry?
We'll also have some announcements on that. I know he's fighting with the lawyers and such to make sure that happens. He finds it a real way of being able to keep in touch with family and friends. You get very serious work-related emails from him, and you get some funny emails from him too. So it's almost hard to imagine him not being able to do that.
Well, I appreciate, Robert, you being with us this morning, and please
Thank you.
Send the president-elect our very best.
I certainly will. Thank you, Meredith.
Robert Gibbs, new press secretary for President Barack Obama. And now here's Matt.
All right, Meredith, thank you very much. All the things you're going to be seeing today as a part of this inaugural, all the pomp and circumstance, there's only actually one thing that's required by the Constitution, and that is that Barack Obama take the oath of office. So raise your right hand, put your left hand on the formica here. It says this: I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and most then add, so help me God. And with those words, history will be made today.
But the "so help me God" is an addition that some presidents add? Some
I think most do, and by all indication, it's probably likely that Barack Obama will add those as well, and it will be extraordinary to watch. Inauguration Day, of course, means moving day over at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The Bushes are shipping out. The Obamas are on their way in. So how do they get all the boxes and furniture in and out on time? NBC's John Yang's at the White House. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. It's not just Barack Obama assuming the presidency. It's the Obama family today moving into a new house. Moving day.
Where do we want the dresser?
It's never easy, but what if the new house is a 208-year-old mansion? You've got other things to attend to.
I, George Walker Bush,
do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
The old residents won't move out until the last minute, and the whole thing has to be done in just a few hours.
At that point, you have what amounts to chaos begins with the staff.
Retired White House Chief Usher Gary Walters saw 7 first families come and go, from the Nixons to the current occupants.
We have packers, we have unpackers, we have movers, we have removers, we have people that put things on trucks, people that take things off of trucks. I mean, it's like a choreography, really is, because you have a limited elevator space.
Others on the 100-member White House resident staff will be busy too. Cooks getting the Obamas' first meal ready, florists making arrangements for the first night in their new home. In a period of about 6 hours during the pomp of the inaugural ceremonies at the Capitol and the parade up Pennsylvania Avenue, the Bushes will be moved out and the Obamas moved in. Fred Olive served 7 first families, from the Johnsons to the Clintons. Everything out.
Everything out.
Everything in. And by 2 o'clock,
it should be ready.
No packing boxes.
Nope.
Nothing. Everything in place.
That's right.
In the 33-room private residence, beds made and furniture, most of it government property, placed where the Obamas want it. Their clothes unpacked and put away. The Oval Office is completely changed over, the new president picking a desk and rug from among those used in the past. Laura Bush began preparing last summer, before anyone knew who the new occupants would be.
But she did give also a very clear direction to the resident staff to clean the house from top to bottom, to have everything spick and span and ready for a new first family.
The Obamas have a $100,000 allowance to make whatever changes they want, especially for the newest member of the family.
You have earned the new puppy that's coming with us to the White House.
First and foremost, too, it is a home for the family, and the staff here knows how to manage a new a puppy. The first family and the resident staff work together to manage breaking in a new little pet.
Barack Obama has already given instructions about the Oval Office, the way he wants it to look when he returns. He's not much change. He's going to keep the same desk that President Bush is using, and he's going to keep the rug that was specially designed by Laura Bush. Matt?
All right, John Yang at a busy place this morning, the White House. John, thanks very much.
And now let's go back to Al Roker at the Pentagon with a look at the national weather forecast. Al?
All right, thanks a lot, Meredith. A beautiful morning here, brisk though, 19 degrees. Joining us, we got the veterans of Oneida, Wisconsin. It's their first inaugural parade. Congratulations, gentlemen. We'll be looking for you on the parade route. Let's take a look, show you what's going on as far as your weather is concerned. We are expecting clear skies along the northeast coast. We do have a clipper bringing some snow. Inaugural forecast 7 a.m., temperature about 19 by noon, temperature 29, wind chill 19. 4 o'clock, cloudy skies, could be a flake or two, and the wind chills again around 19 degrees with a brisk northwesterly wind.
Still ahead, his inbox is already full. We're going to get into the challenges waiting for President Obama, plus much more from here in Washington and our special inauguration coverage. But first, this is Today on NBC.
Still ahead, retired General Colin Powell, who endorsed Barack Obama at a crucial time during the campaign, will share his thoughts on today's historic moment.
Plus, we will review tonight's inaugural balls. There are so many of them, 10 official ones. We're also going to go back to the National Mall as millions gather to watch the swearing in of our 44th president. Gates don't even open until 8 a.m., so they will be standing out in that cold. Hopefully their enthusiasm and optimism will keep them warm.
And long johns.
First, your local news and weather.
7:30 now on a Tuesday morning. It's January 20th, 2009. That makes it inaugural day. And just take a look at some of the scenes we are witnessing on the streets of Washington, D.C. Security incredibly tight. Crowds incredibly large. And these people have been gathering since the wee hours of the morning in frigid temperatures, some 18 or 19 degrees. Just watch as the camera pans at the sea of humanity that is gathered. That crowd's going to get bigger throughout the morning.
And we were saying yesterday, 25,000 law enforcement. You get a sense of how much security there is for the president-elect.
And people out there are excited. You can sense that when you walk up to them and talk to them, as you saw with Ann Curry a little while ago.
They're giddy.
Yeah, they are. I'm Matt Lauer along with Meredith Vieira. We're here on Capitol Hill. You know, when construction began on the U.S. Capitol, it was 1793. Slaves played a vital role in that work. And today, you have to stop and think about this. 216 years later, an African-American takes the oath of office on the steps of that very same building.
And just ahead, we're going to talk more about the challenges that will face the 47-year-old former senator the minute that he takes office. Some unprecedented challenges await, and is he ready to handle them? We're going to get into that. Later, we'll ask one of Obama's closest advisors his take.
Of course, Barack Obama's going to need some bipartisan support to meet many of the challenges he's facing. Last night, he stopped by 2 dinners saluting Republicans. Among them, former Secretary of State Colin Powell. We're going to talk to retired General Powell in just a few moments. And it should be interesting to hear what he has to say about today's events.
He's here sipping his coffee. He has some very clear opinions about partisanship and bipartisanship. We'll get into that.
And about the security. He had a tough time getting here as well,
right,
just like everybody else.
Everything here in Washington unfolding under the tightest security the city has ever seen. No vehicles, not even bikes, will be allowed within 2 miles of the mall today. NBC's Justice correspondent Pete Williams has more on that part of the story. Pete, good morning to you.
Meredith, good morning. Federal agents this morning are still chasing down new reports of threats, though so far nothing they consider serious enough to lead to any change in plans. Just a few minutes ago, the screening began for those already in line to watch the parade, and in less than an hour, the checkpoints open for ticket holders to the swearing in. At the Capitol and along the parade route, everyone goes through airport-style metal detectors today. But no metal detectors for the hundreds of thousands expected on the National Mall. Even so, all will pass through security checkpoints.
There's going to be other type of technical and human countermeasures out there that you may or may not see.
At this downtown Washington command center, FBI agents monitor threats that continue coming in. Every single one, says the local FBI man in charge, must be checked out.
If an internet threat comes in, that lead will be pursued until we can determine that it is not viable.
So far, officials say no specific credible threats. Helicopters and military jets are enforcing a strict no-fly zone today. One of the pilots is Commander Jacob Brown of the Coast Guard.
Our job is to go out there, intercept that aircraft, and escort it out of the National Capital Region.
Barack Obama will take the oath behind thick bulletproof glass, and he'll ride in the parade in the new heavily armored presidential limousine with slightly bigger windows. Along the parade route, only essential personnel are allowed in government buildings, and they've been told to leave the shades open and not to stand in the windows because that would arouse the concern of counter-sniper teams. And military units are nearby, ready to respond to chemical, biological, or even nuclear hazards. If there's an emergency, the Jumbotron TV monitors and loudspeakers on the mall will tell the crowd where to go. But even though extra cell phone capacity was brought in, those phones may not work if use is extra heavy. As the crowds build, we'll find out in the next few hours whether they have enough checkpoints out today to deal with everyone so that all can get in place to watch history being made, Matt.
All right, Pete Williams, thank you very much. Pete, today is an important one for retired General Colin Powell, the former Secretary of State and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, gave Barack Obama his very coveted endorsement just before the election. General Powell, good morning. It's nice to see you.
Good morning, Matt. Good to see you.
How have you been?
Good to see me. I'm fine.
You talked a lot yesterday. You had a couple of important speeches before about 15,000 students. It was Martin Luther King Day. And you talked poignantly about being in a hotel room in Hong Kong when you found out that Barack Obama had won the election. Let me read you your words. You said, quote, "I'll never forget the words that came to me and the words I whispered to an empty room. My God, we did it. We did it." It's been 2 months.
You're going to get me
then.
all moved up again. I mean, it was an electric moment for me, and I think for the country, because there were so many people who said, you know, they'll go in the booth and they really won't pull the lever for a black man. There were people around the world that said America is too polarized. We are too split apart. We are too ideologically separated as a people, and we can't come together to do this. And we did it. And people went out into the streets in Chicago, in Rio, in Sydney, in Obama, Japan. All around the world, people came out to celebrate this American achievement.
So in a few hours, as Barack Obama takes the oath of office, becomes the first African-American president, the 44th president in this nation's history. I've looked at the rundown. You got a pretty good seat. What's going to be going through your mind?
A lot of things, and I really am not sure I can capture it all, but one, a very, very capable man is coming into the office of the presidency, a man of a new generation, a man who I think will be a transformational figure. And he's fully qualified, and he also happens to be African American.
You put it in that order?
I put it in that order. I always put it in that order because we've reached a point in this country where we can measure people, as Dr. King always wanted us to, by their character and their qualifications and not their color. But you can't deny the fact that he is an African American, and when you see how far we have come in the last several hundred years, but especially in just the last 45 or 50 years since Dr. King put us on this path.
You said if Dr. King could be at this inaugural today, he would watch it with great gusto, and then he would take the sleeve of President Obama and say, Mr. President, I need to see you tomorrow about a few things.
Dr. King
what would those things be?
He would say poverty, education. There are still people in need in this country. The country has serious problems, crime, drugs. We still need to do more about pulling the families back together. Dr. King was somebody who never rested. He struggled up till the last day of his life. And I'm absolutely sure that he would be here today. He would rejoice in what had happened. But he would say to the president, now, Mr. President, we got more work to do, which is the same thing President-elect Obama has been saying. We've got a lot to do.
You talk about poverty and housing and education, the economy in general, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, the Israelis in Gaza. You look at the pressing issues facing Barack Obama, to use a golf term, there isn't a gimme there. Are we putting too much faith in one man?
We're putting a lot of faith in this one man, but the point that has to be made is he's not coming in alone. He's coming in with a strong cabinet, but above all, I think he's starting off with the solid support of the American people, both sides of the aisle. I mean, his popularity ratings right now, his favorability
71%.
ratings are 71%. And what has happened, I think, is America has said, okay, this is our decision. We voted 69 million Americans for Mr. Obama and 59 for McCain. Now let's come together. And the leader in that was President Obama, President-elect Obama himself, saying let's come together. But John McCain played a very, very important role, in my judgment, when he gave a most gracious come-together concession speech on the night of the election. And from that moment on, all Americans have been saying, let's come together. And then last night when President-elect Obama honored John McCain at the dinner.
And we find they've been in consultation over these last several months. They have been in consultation. They've been in touch with each other. And so I think we have a new spirit in the country. But he can't do it alone. All of us have to figure out how to help him in our homes, in our lives, in our businesses. Let me take one of the issues I just mentioned. It seems to be growing consensus on Iraq, so let me concentrate on Afghanistan. And the administration has promised 30,000 additional troops in Afghanistan. Joe Klein in Time magazine wrote an interesting article at the end of last year, and he said this: what are we doing in Afghanistan? What's the mission? We know what the mission used to be, to kill or capture Osama bin Laden and destroy his al-Qaeda command. But once bin Laden slipped away, the mission morphed into a vast mess messy, nation-building effort to support the allegedly democratic Karzai government. Let me ask you, if you were consulting with, and I assume you probably are at some degree, to Barack Obama, what is the mission in Afghanistan?
I would say the principal mission is to make sure we don't let Afghanistan slip back into the kind of a country that would tolerate an Osama bin Laden coming in and taking over the country the way he did the last time. So we're looking for a government that is stable, a government that is taking care of the needs of its people, a government that is not corrupt, and that is a major problem for us. And we've got to help the Afghans do something about this drug problem. It's made more difficult by the nexus to Pakistan and the instability that exists in certain parts of Pakistan. So putting more troops in is a way to try to stabilize the situation, but it of itself is not the solution.
You were a part of the Bush administration for 4 years. During his last press conference last week, President Bush bristled when he was asked about the decline in the moral standing of America in the international community. He disagreed. He said he doesn't think there's been a decline. How would you rate the moral standing of this country internationally right now?
I think that we have lost something with respect to our standing in the world. Iraq was a big drag on our standing, and the Middle East, our inability and the inability of anybody to do something about the Middle East is a drag on our standing. But as a result of Guantanamo, as a result of Abu Ghraib and some other things we did with respect to interrogations and detentions, I think we lost some of our standing.
So you disagree with the president on that?
I think we lost some of our standing, and I would disagree with the president. And he and I, we've talked about this over the years, and I've written this, and it's a disagreement. But I think it's recoverable. I think we'll deal with the Guantanamo situation. It's going to be difficult and tricky, but we have to deal with it. We've got to get rid of it.
Finally, in about 30 seconds left, you're going to hear the words like unity and strength and togetherness and bipartisanship today, and we've heard those words before in inaugural addresses, and usually they last for about a couple of days, and then we get back to the business of Washington. Is there a chance, in your opinion, General Powell, that it will last longer this time?
I think that there will be a bit of a honeymoon, but let's not overplay unity and bipartisanship. This country was founded on the idea that there should be a clash of ideas. Partisans should come into the public arena and fight for what they believe in. Where bipartisanship comes in is when they start to make compromise in the interest of the people, and from that compromise and those compromises you gain consensus. I mean, was it bipartisanship in the summer of 1787 when they had to fight over, do we create a country or do we solve the problem of slavery? And one of the great compromises of American history, we had to defend and protect and create a country, and we would have to deal with slavery later. It was bipartisan, but it wasn't necessarily what everybody would have liked to see.
General Colin Powell, we hope you enjoyed today's event, and I really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you, Matt.
It's good to see you,
Meredith.
My best to Mrs. Powell as well.
Thank you.
Let's get a check of the weather now. Go to the Pentagon and Al.
Hey, thanks a lot, Matt. This is the largest inaugural day parade ever. And to tell us a little bit more about it, Linda Douglas, who is the spokesperson for the Presidential Inaugural Committee. Linda, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks very much for having me, and thanks to all of our wonderful band members who are here freezing and working out and getting ready to participate in this historic parade.
Now, so tell me, what are people going to be seeing today?
Well, they're going to be seeing the great diversity of this country. We have a band from every single one of the 50 states, an Eskimo band, a Crow Nation band from Montana. You may remember the Crow Nation adopted President-elect Obama into their tribe. We have 10 of the Tuskegee Airmen who are going to be marching, the first African-American fighter of pilots ever, World War II. We have some NASA astronauts. They're going to have the rover spacecraft with them in the parade. It's going to be very exciting.
What's the toughest part about putting on a parade like this?
Well, the toughest part actually was choosing the groups to march. We had 1,387 applicants, the biggest number ever. We had to whittle that down to 100 groups, and they're really, really talented.
And parade steps off at what time and what's the route?
The parade is the historic route down Pennsylvania Avenue, starts at 2:30 Eastern in front of the President's Reviewing Stand, and the very first musical group is going to be the Punahou Marching Band. That is the high school where President-elect Obama went to high school in Hawaii, followed by Michelle Obama's high school band from Illinois.
All right, Linda Douglas, thanks a lot. We've got great weather for it, and I'm sure the bands will be stepping briskly today.
Very briskly.
And also wanted to say, this is the Redwood Middle School back here. They're the only middle school band in the parade. So way to go, guys, from Saratoga, California. All right, and that's your latest weather. Matt?
All right, Al, thank you very much. We'll see you in a little while. Up next, great expectations, great challenges, much more from here in Washington and what awaits Barack Obama as we count down to the inauguration. But first, these messages.
And welcome back to Washington, D.C., where Barack Obama will become the nation's 44th president in just over 4 hours. Now, once the speeches and the balls are all over and he sits down in the Oval Office for the first time, Obama will face some immense challenges at home and abroad. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has a look ahead. Andrea, good morning to you.
Good morning, Meredith, and what an exciting day in Washington. But as soon as he takes that oath of office, Barack Obama assumes responsibility for an unparalleled set of crises, a combination of challenges rarely, if ever, faced by a new American president.
Only 4 years ago, he arrived for the inaugural as just a new face in the crowd, a freshman on the Foreign Relations Committee, deciding whether Condoleezza Rice should be confirmed as Secretary of State.
I think that we had some vigorous questioning in the committee hearing, but I also think that ultimately the president will have the team that he wants.
Now he's assembling his team to lead the country through its greatest economic crisis since the Depression. His biggest challenge, the economy.
An economy in turmoil, an American dream that feels like it's slipping away.
And job one, creating jobs. Unemployment is on the rise. Obama's giant stimulus package faces opposition in Congress. And even the best economists are not sure what will really work.
Americans understand as he comes in that we are in a very difficult circumstance, and I think they are going to give him a substantial amount of rope as he tries to effectuate solutions.
His second big challenge, health care.
When quality health care is no longer something we have to hope for, but instead something we can count on.
Expanding coverage to the uninsured, and he promises reforming Social Security and Medicare, until now politically untouchable.
A nation at war.
And then the challenges overseas, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, ending one, winning the other.
Usually you have a president coming in with maybe a terrible economic crisis or a terrible foreign policy crisis. It is very rare in history that you've got a president facing both at the same moment.
Obama faces a tall order, fulfilling his promise to close Guantanamo, reshape the intelligence agencies, fight the war on terror on his terms and according to his values, not George Bush's.
Obviously, the most urgent and pressing issue he has to face every day is the threat of terrorism. Al-Qaeda has not gone away.
Finally, rebuilding America's standing abroad through diplomacy, engagement with Iran, and an intense push for Middle East peace.
Obama is counting on his own skill, his new team, and the goodwill of the American people as he tries to meet all of these challenges all at the same time.
All right, Andrea, thank you. We're going to bring in Tom Brokaw as well as David Gregory, moderator of Meet the Press. Andrea's piece, very sobering about the challenges that he faces, but there's crisis, there's also great opportunity here, isn't there, Tom?
Well, in fact, in the Obama team, they are saying a crisis is a terrible thing to waste because they have the country paying attention and so much goodwill out there, but no one, as Andrea has so typically eloquently described here, can underestimate the magnitude of the problems. It's also worth remembering, however, that John Kennedy had been in office about 20 seconds and they said, we have this plan to invade Cuba, the Bay of Pigs, and that was followed quickly by the Cuban nuclear crisis. And Nikita Khrushchev gave him a real dressing down when they met in Vienna. So it's not unusual for new presidents in difficult times to face real tough issues, and this time the country is paying attention.
But you know, David, when he began running for this office 2 years ago, it was a different world. Iraq was the #1 issue. Now it's the economy. Can he stay true to his core principles, or will he have to change his policy?
I don't think he necessarily has to change, but I think he's going to strive for real inclusion for the minority party, for the Republicans. And if he wants any kind of real grand bargain on big issues like Social Security, Medicare, spending reform, it has to be more than lip service. You know, John Kerry was upset in 2004 after he lost when he offered help to George Bush, and President Bush didn't take him up on it. This has to be real and not just lip service if he's going to get real allies, and he needs real allies in order to get some of these things done.
All right, David, Tom will have much more in the hours ahead. And we'll have more of our special coverage of the inauguration coming up right after this. Still ahead, the Spotlight Blitz and Glamour in store at tonight's inaugural balls.
Plus, much more from Washington on this day for the history books. But first, your local news.